negotiate. One of the techniques is ask for more than you expect to get.
The way I find of creating those dynamic opportunities of Hi, I'm Nathan. I love to optimize health, mindset, dopamine stimulation, and utilize business systems to grow businesses fast in Western Australia. So we've been operating.
So we made a whole bunch of them, and we set out, this is West One, and we set out in the front of the paddock.
Hi guys, and welcome to another edition. We have an amazing guest with us today, Jenna D'Annunzio, and I just love saying that surname. It just rolls off the tongue. It's very cool. So
Thank you.
Jenna is a holistic business and mindset coach, two areas that I'm very, very passionate about, business and mindset. And she integrates all these things to get better outcomes in business, mind, and health. And again, another thing that it's a package deal. They all seem to go really well together.
Yes.
Jenna is a international best-selling author, and she is, as you can see, or will be able to see very soon, her book behind her is called Cracking the Rich Code, which is, and there we go, modeled very nicely by Jenna. And that is involving Tony Robbins and Brian Tracy, two massive names in the industry of coaching and motivation and mindset and all those good things. And she's a speaker and an architect of business and life, bringing them all together. So welcome to the show, Jenna.
Oh, thank you so much. That was a wonderful introduction. I'm humbled.
Excellent. So you've got some pretty cool stuff going on. Tell us a bit about your background and what your life entails.
Yeah. Thanks for asking. So I'm a second generation entrepreneur. I was raised by my father, who is the founder of our two coaching companies. So we have one coaching company. It's called the Enlightened Entrepreneur. And then we have separated those into two very specific coaching companies and programs. One is called the Soul Purpose Institute, and that works with anybody and everybody within the public and private sector. So any entrepreneur, small to medium-sized business owner. But then we also have Mission Driven Advisor that works exclusively with the financial services industry.
Right, mission-driven advising. Awesome. So coaching is such a massive industry, and it's such an important way of shortcutting the mistakes, right? Is that what you find that your purpose is?
Yeah, I think I often say that one of the upsides to COVID was that our mental health is so critical. And coaching became such a popular industry because it became very relevant that we as human beings learn how to manage our mind. So many people were really struggling at home, trying to play all the roles, do all the things, work, not be able to go outside and socialize with loved ones as much as they wanted. And so trying to be, a parent and, a homeowner and do all the things. And it just became really abundantly clear how critical our mental health was. And so the field of coaching really skyrocketed. And I recognize that, yes, whereas I do work in some specific industries, the mastering of our thoughts and our emotions and the 6 inches between our ears is absolutely the secret to 10xing our success in our happiness, our health, and in our wealth.
Absolutely. So mastering emotions, Tony Robbins is massive on that side of things. He's a huge name in the industry and uses neuro-linguistic programming. What are your tools in your toolbox for focusing on getting control of the 6 inches?
Yeah. So we have a really incredible tool. It's called April. It's an acronym. And so we work with all of our students and our clients within our program. And April is what I call the consciousness expander. It starts as a step-by-step tool, but really what it does is it helps us to become really aware. The A in April is awareness, that we're in a negative experience. So often we're not even really conscious to the fact that we're upset, we're frustrated, we're overwhelmed, we're burned out. And so allowing us to tap into that level of awareness to then get really present. I often joke, and some of my clients call me a little corny, but allow your presence to literally be a present, like a gift to yourself. Once we're able to really get into the here and now in time and space, can we recognize and actively release, which is the R in April, that negative emotion, so that we can then I, which is intentional, we can be more intentionally, and then L is loving to ourselves and to other. So we have quite a few tools in our tool belt that really allow a step-by-step process that once you kind of work through that, it's something that starts to really become like an effortless effort of striving to master those thoughts and emotions so that you are able to overcome any barriers to success.
It's really interesting, the awareness side being the first one in April. It's so true that people go through life with complete blinkers on, and I guess you just get so caught up in the dramas of the day and firefighting and just living life that the hustle, and you don't often step back and say, okay, what's going on? Asking yourself questions. And I love the power of questions, because I just think it's so life transforming when you actually sit back. And I guess that's part. Do you incorporate those questions as part of the awareness process?
Absolutely. What am I feeling right now? What do I need right now? When we are aware that we're in a negative experience, we can get really present by just asking ourselves, what's going on for us? What are we upset about? And 99% of the time, what we're upset about is either something that happened in the past that we have absolutely no control over, right? Or something that's going to happen in the future that's causing some sort of anxiety within us to resurface or come to the surface. Rarely does it have anything to do with what's actually going on in the moment in time and space.
Right.
It's almost like that gives us permission to say, okay, I can release that right now. Because at the end of the day, do I have any control over what happened 5 minutes ago and what's about to happen in 5 minutes? No.
So what's the conscious process of understanding, getting that awareness, and then moving to, hang on a second, I've got no control over this, let's let it go? What are the steps that are involved in that?
So the R is releasing, which is what I find is the step, so to speak, that is rarely taken. And there's two ways to do that. One in which, I also have a background in clinical psychology with a specialization in counseling. So one in which is tapping into that cognitive reframing, right? You mentioned neuro-linguistic programming.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And that is reframing that disrupted thought that you're having. Right. So maybe it's overwhelm that's turned into, well, I'm just not good enough. I can't do it all. Right. And then so you're really asking yourself, is that true? Is that true? Right. I'm doing the best I can with what I have. And so reframing that limiting belief or that negative story to an empowering one and an abundant story. Or we also have a tangible tool. I'm also an EFT practitioner. So I'm not sure if you've ever heard of emotional freedom technique.
Yeah, it's different to electronic fund transfer.
Yes, not quite the same.
Not the same. Right. Thanks for clarifying that one. Good,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. So Dawson Church is one of he's a big name, and he's created this based on a series of research and evidence-based what is called emotional freedom technique. And it's a physical, tangible way to it's kind of like acupressure to help
Tapping?
support tapping. Yeah.
Tapping,
The
yes,
release of disrupted and negative energy.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, it's I mean, amongst other things, I'm sure it's a pattern interrupt as well, you know.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, I love that you said that. Yeah, pattern interrupt for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful. Actually, Anthony Robbins tells a story about I've seen him go into detail about a lady who was experiencing a really emotional background. I think it was a divorce, or I can't quite remember, but she was displaying all the emotions, and then he got her to really bring up the emotions. And midway through, he threw a glass of water in her face, and it was a massive, like, whoa, what the heck just happened?
Cold water. Yeah.
Cold water. And then he said, so again, sorry, just getting back to where we're at, tell me again about that experience. And she said, yeah, I can't really I don't know, like she was totally confused. And that connection had just been interrupted. That pattern interrupt was absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
So do you throw buckets of cold water on your clients, or no?
Not often. I have yet to do just that. I use pattern interrupt as a phrase, right? So my pattern interrupt is cancel error thought. And I got to be honest, I stole that from my father. His phrase or word that really shakes up, right, that thought process, that negative thought process, is cancel error thought. So I adopted that. But do you remember Blockbuster?
Yeah,
right. So one of my clients, she uses please be kind, rewind, right? That phrase used to be on all the VHS tapes.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Right. And that's her way of when she says, because she tends to be hard on herself. So her pattern interrupt is whenever she catches herself being hard on herself, she says, please be kind, rewind.
Awesome.
To
I love it.
reframe that. Yeah.
So
not quite cold water, but
yeah, right. Yeah. And so Blockbuster lives on.
It does.
Yeah.
It lives on. Yeah. VHS tape.
Just thinking, Jenna, you're very lucky to have your dad in the same industry and be brought up with an amazing sort of guru on mindset. I mean, wow, what a great start to your life and your business.
I mean, I can't speak enough to the gratitude that I have for this opportunity and this experience. I rejected it at first as a teenage girl growing up.
Absolutely.
But don't we all have to find our own way. So I'm really also grateful for the many experiences that I had as a teacher, as a social worker, as a caseworker, because all those experiences really led me to recognizing I was teaching these life success principles that I was raised in to the younger generations. And it was then that it hit me. I think I have a bigger impact. I think that there's something bigger for me out there that I can do. And that's what really led me to, one Friday evening having dinner with the family, say, hey, Dad, you got a spot for me on the team. So,
Awesome.
Yeah.
And funny enough, that's how I'm involved in lots of different businesses. And that was exactly how one of my businesses started. Totally different industry, but in the food industry, I was having dinner with my father-in-law, who's just phenomenal at, he's been making pasta, Italian food for years commercially. And we were just sitting down at dinner one night, and exactly the same thing. It was like, you got some great food. Can we start a business with this? Can I do my own thing? So, that was the same sort of thing. But your background your dad and the positive stuff, I mean, most people have the opposite end of that, and they're brought up with all these traumas, and they've got all this baggage that they start off with, and you've been brought up with amazing understandings and clarity and mindset that must have just and I get the bit that every teenager oh no, I'm not into that, it's my dad, how could that be, family, you never listen to your family at that age, and my kids are exactly the same.
No. Well, I will be really transparent, and I did write about this in my chapter in Cracking the Rich Code. I was raised originally by my mom. So my parents separated when I was a baby. Right. And so I did have pretty tough childhood with her until I was 11. And that's when I realized, seeing a lot of my other friends and their families, and then going home to what I was going home to, I finally came to the realization at 11, this isn't normal. And so that's when I called my first call up of my dad to say, I'm not really safe here, mentally, emotionally, physically, and, psychologically. So can I come and live with you?
Wow.
And so that was his first, yeah, of course. And that's when really I just became really engrossed with everything that he was doing and soaking it all in like a sponge. So I will say that it wasn't too great from the beginning, but there's no accidents. I look at Earth as a school, and there's absolutely no accidents, and everything in my life that has happened has led me to exactly where I am today, speaking with you, right? Yep. On a whim, just a LinkedIn connection. Inquiring about the book and, kind of hitting it off. And so I'm so grateful, and I definitely feel in alignment with those experiences and what they were able to teach me.
Fantastic. And that's such a big part of, I guess, what you teach people, and the NLP, neuro-linguistic programming side of reconnecting. It's reconnecting positive patterns to negative background or negative thing. And that's such a powerful tool. I'd use it all the time. One of my mentors was he's not around anymore, but he was phenomenal, and he was all about benefits, understanding first of all the awareness. You've had a traumatic situation, and then he would go into, okay, so what is the benefit and what's the lesson that you've learned from that? And it's incredibly powerful for just switching our interpretation of that negative event. And it's pretty powerful.
Questions, right? You just asked a series of questions in that.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. And it's pretty powerful because, coaches like yourself, they're so valuable, because unless we are trained, we don't get this training at school. We don't get it from most parents, don't have the skill set. And so unless you learn these tools somehow through self-development, reading books, coaches, then you just go through life struggling, and you don't understand that there's another solution to make every day awesome, like
that it's a choice. Yeah, that it's a choice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The law of choice. And it's so critical that we do. Every moment of every day, we have a choice to choose our higher self, love-driven thoughts, or our lower self, which is fear-driven thoughts. Right? I see any emotion comes essentially from, it's like a bike, right? Bicycle has two wheels. There's two massive emotions that everything is driven from: fear and love. And within that bike, there's spokes, right? So it's like we're drawing a little picture, and each spoke, if you're coming from a place of fear, that is doubt, worry, that's on each spoke. Procrastination, upset, frustration, overwhelm, burnout. Or you can choose love, creativity, asking great questions, happiness, laughter, joy, fun, innovation. And so when we see that picture and you look at your life like a bicycle, you know, what are you trying? Which one are you choosing? Because it is a choice.
Choice.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. But most people don't even understand that it is a choice. You can
No, they
choose
don't. Yeah.
how you react or how you respond. You know, do you react or do you respond? And the awareness. And I guess what would you say are the biggest influences of that? You know, how you react, if you react or if you respond. Because most people, you know, we have template responses, don't we, to different events in life. For example,
Sure.
if a loved one passes away, then we react a certain way. The
Mhm.
Western world reacts actually quite different, say, to the Eastern world.
Mhm.
What do you say is the biggest influences over that choice that we make?
Our beliefs.
Right.
Our beliefs drive our behaviors, and our behaviors drive our results. So what we tend to not realize is that it's like our brain is kind of like a computer, and we're programmed to live into a series of belief systems that we were essentially taught from our parents. Right?
Yeah.
If I wasn't afraid of spiders, I guarantee my kiddos wouldn't be either.
True.
Right? Like if I'm, you know, when our child first learns to walk and they tumble down and we go, oh my gosh. And then they look up at us and then they burst into tears, even though they're fine.
Mm-hmm.
They're learning that falling is
Yeah.
scary and to be
Yeah.
afraid of it. But that's
Yeah.
because we are.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So our beliefs are the driving force behind why we behave the way that we do. And so in the work that I do, this is why it's so critical to be able to master our thoughts and our belief systems. It's because when we're empowered, like when we're living into an empowering belief, there's no doubt we're unstoppable. Like you said, everything is a choice. If everybody lived into that belief that we can choose happiness every day, even just a little bit every day, how different the world would be.
Amazing. That would be
Yeah.
phenomenal. And having that understanding that you can choose by asking, you know, that the belief, what have you learned from it? What's the lesson that you've got? And how's that going to benefit you in the rest of your life? It's just such and your set of questions and the whole April thing is absolutely brilliant for getting
Yeah.
that. You know, why would we create, when you stop and look at it, you ask yourself, why would we create a reaction that is going to be detrimental to our life?
Yeah.
You know, what if we chose another way of doing it that actually could empower us and actually move us forwards and benefit the rest of our future? That's cool. I reckon that's an amazing little
It's a
mental.
great feeling, but it's really hard. And that's why people tend to not do it, because it's hard. It's what I call the hard easy, where when we choose to do the hard thing first, our life really will eventually get easy in the end. Right? But it's hard to rewire our beliefs. It's hard to admit that we're living and energizing a negative story. It's easy to say, well, it's their fault. Well, they cut me off in traffic, so they're the jerk.
Right. Yeah, the
Right?
blame game. Yep.
The blame,
Blame it all.
it's
Yeah.
pretty easy to blame other people.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard to actually turn that finger around on
Oh,
us.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's so important. The taking responsibility thing, that's another whole issue in itself, isn't it? That
It sure
you know,
is.
I mean, team members, it's really interesting. I try and educate my staff about that, about taking responsibility. And I think I haven't quite mastered the communication method, because there's always a heck of a lot of pushback. And people will notoriously say, oh no, it's got nothing to do with me. It wasn't my fault. You know, the sales from today, nothing to do with me. You know, the business that we're generating, nothing to do with me. It's the economy, it's the weather, it's everything else other than internal.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Well, and I would empower you, Nathan, to use the concept of asking really good questions and getting curious. Whose fault is it then? What can we do given the way that the economy is then? Given the weather, can't control any of those things. What can we control into creating favorable conditions for success?
Nice question. Yeah. Nice
and then
question.
they're like, right?
That's hopefully, yeah.
Well, yeah, fingers crossed. That's their response.
Exactly. Yeah, excellent. So, Jenna, you do a lot with in the financial world, is that right? With coaching?
I do. So, Mission Driven Advisor is a coaching program that takes a series of life success production principles and it tailors it specifically to the industry to help financial advisors grow their business and their practice while also building a life that they love.
Awesome. I love that balance. It's not many people can get the balance right. The enjoyable life and
and Nathan, I have to tell you, because I did do a little homework and I was so intrigued when you shared with me your passion for financial literacy. And so I did a little bit of research, and it was something that my findings were so fascinating that I was so excited to share with all of my financial advisor clients, because 3 in 4 Americans report feeling anxious about their financial situations.
Right.
So 77% feel really anxious about it. And that led me to kind of unpack and uncover the fact that we aren't taught as kids financial literacy here. 58% feel like their finances control their lives, and how that's just such a massive number. And then when you and I were chatting, I was talking about my own education, watching my children and about what they're learning in school, and it has nothing to do with financial literacy.
Correct. Yeah, so true. And everyone you speak to, particularly parents, they all say there's not enough financial literacy, and that not enough means actually zero financial literacy education at school. And it seems to be universal across every country around the world. I mean, we've spoken to people in the US, in the UK, Australia. My kids get zero. I mean, they'll be lucky to learn about currency and it's done as a math sort of part of the section.
Yes, same.
Yeah. But it's really interesting. So actually that's one area that I'm very passionate about, because I love business and I love financial side of things, and I just realized there's such a shortage of that kind of thing out there in schools, that people are coming through completely uneducated through the school system in finances, and it's just such a key time to learn about these things, and there's just nothing there. So I've actually, one of my startup businesses that we're actually launching in the next couple of weeks in a couple of schools. So it's a school-based program. I work with a headmaster in a local school here, and we've developed a program of financial literacy called FLAIR School, Financial Literacy and Advanced Real-World Education. And it's going to be available for schools globally, and it's a whole bunch of training lessons that the teachers can actually implement from kindergarten to year 6. We've got those first sort of 7 years sorted, and then we'll go above that and offer it, more advanced systems. But we integrate things like because I was on Shark Tank in Australia, Shark Tank. So we've done a little Shark Tank pitch fest. So the kids have to pitch their business ideas. There's a big entrepreneurial side of it, where we also help the schools set up a market where the kids can sell their products and have the whole follow through. Yeah. So there's some games and different things coming. So yeah. It's you might have to give me a hand in the US launching over there or something.
My brain is like exploding in excitement. I would absolutely love to. You did just remind me of one little project that my daughter did in 2nd grade on entrepreneurship.
Right.
You did remind me of that. And so I do stand slightly corrected. It was one very cute little project, and each kid, but it was optional. And so if they felt comfortable doing it and being a little entrepreneur and creating something, which it was cute as heck, and she made little bookmarks for everybody and you could sell them. But I mean, to integrate that thought process at such a young age, I mean, it's no different than how kids learn languages. They always say the younger you teach them, the better. Instruments, the same thing. Their minds are sponges, and the more that we can give, the more opportunity that we can give them relative to real world. I love that, financial literacy and what was it, academics or
real world, advanced real world education. Yeah.
I mean, it's so incredible. So anything that I can do to support you in this mission, you have an ally in New York.
Fantastic. Sounds good. We'll definitely collaborate. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Excellent.
So what else, as a little leaving thing, what bit of advice would you find really powerful for entrepreneurs out there in particular, to be able to, one little bit of advice that can powerfully change as of today that they can utilize and adopt immediately? Yeah.
So like I mentioned with April, but I think that the key thing here is to recognize, again, the importance of mastering your thoughts and the stories that you're telling yourself, the beliefs that you're living into, and really asking yourself, is this useful? Am I coming from a place of love, or am I coming from a place of fear? And who we are anywhere is who we are everywhere. So that holistic approach that I was telling you, I see you as a whole person. And when anyone is really struggling mentally or emotionally, that is without a doubt showing up in their business or their practice. And so when you can learn how to tell your thoughts where to go, and the power of choice, right? Like we spoke about earlier, the power of choice, you will absolutely 10x your success in happiness, health, and wealth.
Beautiful. Amazing words, Jenna. And just if people can adapt and adopt, a tenth of that they can change their life immediately overnight. It's pretty powerful.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So how do people get hold of more of your good stuff?
Yeah. So, of course, the book, Cracking the Rich Code, Volume 15, is officially out. You can access that book. You can find me on LinkedIn, Jenna D'Annunzio. You can also go to our website, which is missiondrivenadvisor.com. I'm on all the socials. So
awesome.
Facebook or Instagram. Yeah.
We'll put up your links as well. So that'll be awesome.
Thanks so much.
Fantastic, Jenna. Thanks so much.
It's been a pleasure.
Awesome insight. Absolute pleasure. Yeah.
Thanks so
for
much.
all that. Good stuff.
Bye-bye.
We'll see you soon.
Well, that was awesome. Keep optimizing your health, mindset, and business. Be awesome and make business awesome.